Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a pair of these cosmic butterfly earrings, and there are several online tutorials for butterfly earrings, and the majority of them begin with either a cutter or a cane. Now, I don't have any fancy butterfly cutouts, and I'm not very experienced with canes either. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I made these ones using a custom paper template, and these were really easy to make, and I'm super happy with the way that they turned out. So let's get started. To make your template, you will just need a small piece of cardstock paper, a writing utensil, and a sharp razor knife. For clay, I am using Sculpey Premo, so I've got this galaxy glitter for my base color, and then I'll also be using some metallic silver and 2 different shades of gold. For embellishment on these, I am using 3 different round cutouts, and this tiny one is just going to be to punch my holes out for my jump rings. And then I've also got a double-ended dotting tool and my straight pen. And to turn these into jewelry, you will also need 4 jump rings and a pair of earring hooks. And last but not least, you will need a pair of needle nose pliers to assemble everything together with. So the first step is going to be designing your template. And the best part about making these is that you really have the freedom to make these look however you want. And I did play around with several different styles while I was making mine. So you will notice that I have both 1-piece and 2-piece cutouts here. So I started with a 1-piece template, and this is my very first attempt, and it is pretty, but it's a little bit plain, and I feel like it is missing something here in the center. Now, if you're using a floral design, for example, where you're kind of clustering all of your embellishments in the middle here so that there is a distinctive central focal point, then a single piece is probably a good choice. I wanted a sort of cosmic galaxy theme where the embellishments are a little bit smaller and more spaced out. So I definitely needed some kind of body or central focal point, and also a clear distinction between the upper and lower wing sets. So I will be using a 2-piece template for these ones today, but it is important when you're designing your moth or butterfly that you consider your embellishments or your theme as well. To make my template, I am just going to fold this piece of cardstock paper in half, and then I have free-handed my upper wings on here, and I am just going to take this razor knife and cut this piece out with it folded. And now that I've got the first piece cut, I am going to trace this onto this fold here and use that as a template to do my lower wing set. And I'm not tracing the whole thing, just where it comes out on the bottom here. And then I'm also going to mark a line where it sets on the top. And when you're doing this, you want that lower piece to be underneath the top one so that the wings overlap. And so I'm going to draw on the lower piece, and then I'm going to use this as a guide to make that line on the top of my lower wings. So here it is, and you can see that this whole area right here is going to be overlap on my finished piece. So now I can cut out this lower wing set here to finish my template. So now I have both pieces cut for my template, and I'm just doing a quick test fit here to make sure that I'm happy with the way that they look. And now we can start with clay. So I have rolled out my galaxy glitter, and I did roll it out pretty thin for these because they will be overlapping. And I'm going to start by pressing my top wings onto that clay piece. And then I will be cutting these out with my razor knife as well. And once you've got that piece cut out, just take the tip of your blade and pull that piece of cardstock up, and then you can peel that off and reuse it. So now I've got all 4 pieces cut, and you're going to want to peel each one of these up. And because we used a razor knife, you're probably going to need to clean them up a little bit around the edges. So I am just going to peel this off of here, and for the most part, they look pretty good. But again, you know, you can smooth them out and kind of reshape them a little bit if you need to. Now, before I put these together, I am going to add a little bit of detail to all of the wings, and I am going to start with the top wings. So using my straight pen, I am just adding some lines, and I am going to make the first 2 going upwards, following that top cut line, and the bottom 2 are going to go downwards, following that lower cut line. Just like this. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, and then I am going to just follow those through on the other side as well. So this is what it looks like, and then I am also going to add some detail to the lower wings as well. And on these ones, I'm going to do 3 lines. So starting at the bottom and pointing this one down, and then I'm going to do 1 in the center and another one up here towards the top. And then the same thing as the other, I am just going to follow these on the other side. This is what it looks like, and you're going to repeat that with all 4 pieces. And now we can begin fitting these together. So I am just setting the upper wings on top of the lower ones and measuring them up so that some of that girth is in the center and we have a nice overlap. And you will want to adjust your wing tips and make sure that that overlap is even on both sides. Now, once you've got your pieces fitted together, you can go ahead and press in that overlap area so that they are well adhered. And before we move on to the body and embellishments, I do have a few quick design notes for you guys. So first off, you will need to consider how you want these to hang. So for this pair, I made them exactly the same and hung both pieces from the right wingtip. And this pair I hung from opposite wingtips, and I also mirrored my wing design, so it is opposite on both pieces as well. These ones I hung right from the center, and I also added a bead dangle to the bottom of them. So if you decide to hang yours from the center like this, you will also need to determine if you're going to add a secondary hole for a bead or a charm, and choose a body style or embellishment setup that will mesh well with those holes. The next thing to consider is drafting a design. So all of these embellishments are small, and while they're easy to make, moving them and placing them on your piece can be a very tedious process. So another great thing about these paper templates is that you can trace them on another piece of paper, and then that will allow you to kind of play around with different design ideas and elements so that you have a really clear picture of how you want your piece to look before you get started. In today's video, I will be using this design, so let's get back to the tutorial. So next I'm going to be building the body in the center. So I've got 2 balls of this lighter gold color, and I am just rolling this into a point on one end. So you want kind of an elongated teardrop shape. And then set that rounded end up here where the head would be, and make sure you've got it long enough to reach the bottom. And then you're just going to gently press that on there to adhere it, and we're just going to go ahead and repeat that same process with both pieces. This is what they look like, and I have got a little piece of this silver here, and instead of texturing the bodies, I'm going to do something a little bit differently. So I am just rolling this out really thin, and then I am going to run that vertically right down the center of both of these bodies. just like this, and I am going to do the same thing with this other piece on the other side. Here they are, and now we can move on to embellishments. So first I'm going to make my moons, and I have taken this darker gold and rolled it out into a pretty thin sheet. And then I have got this smaller round cutter, and I am just going to cut out 2 circles here for my moons. And to make your moons, just take that same cutter and measure it up to about the thickness that you want the center to be, and cut off the rest of that circle. And go ahead and do the same thing with the other circle. And once your moons are cut, you can pick them up with your straight pen. So if you flip this over, you can kind of stab your straight pen very gently into the back side of it. And I am just going to place this right here on the top of the wing. So place it where you want it, and then use your finger to pull your needle out. And I am going to do the same thing with the other one. And you want to try to place it in about the same spot. And now that I've got my moons placed, I have got another piece of this silver, and I've just got 2 balls here that are about the same size. And I am going to set them on the opposite wing, kind of down here in the corner on both pieces. And then I am just going to very gently flatten these out with my finger. And you want to try to keep them as round as you can. And you can smooth out your fingerprints when you're done. And once you've got them on there, take your dotting tool, and this is a double-ended tool. So I'm going to start with the smaller end and just make some kind of random dots on here. And then we'll flip this over and use the larger end to add some larger dots. And you just want it to look kind of cratered so that it has some texture and stands out on your piece. Here they are, and now I have got a piece of this lighter gold that I have rolled out thin again, and I am going to make a little ring to go on that lower wing on the same side as the moon. So I'm just using this larger cutter, and I'm going to cut out 2 pieces. And then going back to my smaller cutter, I am going to cut out the center of these so that I have 2 little rings. And these are a little bit uneven, so I am going to be using that thinner side because I'm only using half of the ring. So again, if you take your straight pen, you can pop out these centers pretty easily. And again, picking these up from the back side, I am just going to place that skinny half of it over that bottom wing tip. Just press it on there with my finger and then move the needle. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. And once you've got them placed, you can come in with your cutting tool and just trim off that excess on the edge there. So now I'm going to be making the holes for my jump rings. So I've got 2 small balls of this darker gold, and I am going to put my holes right here in the tip of this upper wing. So I am just going to place these little balls evenly on each side where I want them. And once I've got them placed, I am going to gently press them in with my finger to flatten them down. Again, trying to keep them as round as I can. And now I've got this tiny little round cutter here, and I am just going to cut this out right in the center. Just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing with both pieces. And now I can go ahead and add my stars. So I have got a little ball of this lighter gold color, and I am just going to roll this out. You're going to want to roll it out as thin as you can get it without messing it up. And once you've got that done, you can come in with your cutting tool again. And first I'm just going to cut off these ends so that I have a nice even piece to work with. And you're going to cut this into some sections. So for each star, you will need a long section and then a short section to cross over the center of it. And once you've got some pieces cut out, you will want a set of short ones and a set of longer ones, and just continue rolling those a little bit so that both of your sets are about the same size as each other and a little bit pointed on the ends. And when you're ready to place them, again, just gently pick these up with your straight pin. You don't want to stab them, just roll them a little bit, and then you're going to place the longer piece vertically where you want it, making sure that it's nice and straight. And I am going to do both pieces at the same time for each one of these so that they are placed appropriately and they match. And then go ahead and pick up one of these smaller pieces here, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to place this one horizontally right in the middle of that first piece so you have a nice little star. Just like that, and I am going to go through and even these out just a little bit. So here are my first two stars, and I am going to go ahead and place another set, one right here by the moon and another one on this lower blank wing. So here it is with all of my stars done, and as a final step, I am going to add some little dots to the empty spaces in the background here. So I am going to take this silver clay, and I'm just going to start by rolling out a whole bunch of little balls in different sizes. And now that I've got all the balls rolled out, I am just going to begin placing these randomly in these empty spaces on the rest of my piece. This is what it looks like, and I am going to go ahead and do the same thing with the other piece. Here they are, and these pieces are finished. I am going to go ahead and put them in the oven. Again, always check your specific clay for baking instructions. I am going to bake these at 275 for just about an hour. And once these are baked and cooled, you can go ahead and add your jump rings and your earring hooks. Here is the finished pair, and I'm really happy with my design, and I love these colors. That is it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button for me. Feel free to comment and consider subscribing for more content like this. Next week, I will finally be posting a video for these crochet mermaid tail lighter or chapstick caddies, so tune in for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next week.